everybody, and welcome to What's the Story 300. I'm doing this in a very rushed way because I won't get a word in otherwise. This is the 300th episode. It's quite a milestone. There's only one way to celebrate that, and that's with our two favourite people in the entire world, and they're the most listened to guests we have, the most requested guests we have. No, it's not Anton Deck, but it is people who are extremely good looking, handsome, beautiful, generous, kind, and all those other superlatives that we'll list throughout the show as we go on. The one and only Paul Howard, and the one and only Gary Mackle. Gentlemen, thank you.
All right, lads.
Why does Paul's name get called out first?
Because the last time I called your name out first.
Oh, very good.
I believe it's in the contract that our legal team have with your legal team. That's
very fair. Well, I'll give it to him because he's an award-winning author. So I'll give him that one.
Multi-award winning.
Since I won an award, lads. A long, long time since I won an award.
Is it really, Paul?
You won a BAFTA, you cabbage.
Yeah. Well, no, I meant an individual. I mean, I didn't win the BAFTA. I mean, I was one of the writers on a show that won a BAFTA, and I don't have it. No, I don't have it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that isn't in my sitting room. I got my hands on it that night, and then they had to break about 3 of my fingers to get it off me before they.
Is it not like schoolboy football where you all get a shot of it and then you have to give it back at the end of the yeyear?
No, they are permanent awards, but yeah, I don't know who actually got it. I think it goes to the producer who for Bad Sisters was Faye Dorn, and so she got it. But we all had a shot of it. Like, the thing is to. Like, I'd never dreamed of going to the BAFTAs, like, you know, but for me, holding the award was great. But the best moment of the whole night for me was I'm sitting there at the table and me chicken supreme arrives, like, you know, and it's like I'm at me Debs, you know. And, I just feel this hand on my shoulder, and I hear, "Excuse me, honey," and I turn around, right, and it's Kate Winslett. And in this moment of, I don't know what happened. I don't know. The other way, some people just don't know how to behave around celebrities, and I'm kind of one of those people. I kind of went to jelly a bit, you know, and I don't know what put it in my head. I thought she was coming over to talk to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like to say, I love the What's the Story podcast. I've heard you with Gary Mackle on that.
Yeah. Naturally, that's what happened. Yeah.
Naturally, yeah.
So I kind of turned around and, "Oh, hi." And she said, "Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get past your chair there." Right. I'd already
such a Paul story.
I'd already stood up a little bit, so I'd sort of committed to it. Like, it looked like I was about to hug her or something. Oh, it was terrible.
But she's stunning.
Oh, she's gorgeous, like, you know. Yeah. She's amazing. I don't know if you've seen that show that she won the BAFTA for. It's called I Am Ruth. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, she's in it, and her and her daughter star in it together. Basically, it's about this kid who kind of disappears into the social media world, into the internet. Like, she's actually forgotten how to engage with real human beings, and she's just on social media all the time, taking pictures of herself, hating herself.
Like Mero was such
taking.
Sorry, Graham. Sorry, Paul. Go on ahead.
But anyway, apparently this program, there was no script for it at all. Nobody wrote a script. They just said to her, "Right, you're both in the kitchen," and obviously they know how to interact around each other because they're mother and daughter. But they just said, "Right, you're in the kitchen. You're having a bad day. You've had a bad day at work. You're uncommunicative. Kate Winslett, you're trying to talk to your daughter. Go." And they just filmed all the scenes like that, and it's extraordinary. You know,
no script for the whole show.
No, apparently not. That's what it means.
Speaking from experience in 300 episodes of doing that, it's not a good idea in the long term.
Lads,
it'll catch up with them eventually.
You're both looking tremendous, I have to say. Danny, you look fantastic.
Thanks, Paul.
You look amazing. I know
it's fair to say we're all looking great.
We are all looking great, but I know you've been on this journey, this health journey for the last couple of years, and And Gary was saying the same earlier on. You look absolutely incredible. So good for you.
Like I sometimes don't like talking to Danny about it because I don't want to sound condescending or anything. But of all the kind of health kicks and turnarounds and transformations, it's fucking remarkable. It's and look, kudos to you, Dan. Unbelievable. You look great.
I appreciate it, lads. Thank you.
I'd love to see our flute.
Well, that's a work in progress.
You were getting your vajazzle done earlier, weren't you?
I was. I went in for a Brazilian and I came out with a Mexican, and I'll allude to what that actually is later.
You got the Louis Vuitton logo vajazzled on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is a luxury item. Gary
said he looked like Tom Hanks from Philadelphia earlier on.
Lads, 300 episodes in. You used to call them chapters when it started.
We did. Yeah.
Danny, I'll start with you.
Thank you.
What does it mean to you, 300 episodes in?
I just want to thank the listeners. I want to thank me ma, thank me dad. I want to thank the man upstairs.
Hang on, Danny, I'll go get you a BAFTA.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks. Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, it's a minor miracle that it's gone 300 episodes, Gary, and the fact that people still listen is remarkable. But look, we're only in it for the celebrity friends, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but you've gathered a few of them. Mero, what's it mean to you?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it, to be honest. It's 8 years. It's at their pissing boy.
Well, I've asked Danny there, so you had a minute and a half to think about it. So I'll ask you again. What does it mean to you now, 300 episodes in?
It's amazing. I didn't think we'd last this long. It's
get your own answer, please.
Huge thanks to Danny. He's no better person to do a podcast with.
Lads, can I ask you a question? Is there any chance of you going back to the kind of live podcasts? Because myself and Gary, we used to love sitting in Fitzpatrick's with you. Like, are they? Can me and Gary maybe put pressure on Fitzpatrick's to come on board again as a sponsor? Or
absolutely, we emailed them back in February and we got no reply. So
any hotel really, Paul. To be honest with you,
any hotel really.
Our loyalty is that of essentially people who are in business with Saudi Arabia. We'll take what we can get, and so long as it makes us richer, we're all for it.
I do rather when we're in the one room, I have to say. I do rather that. But look, there was a global pandemic.
COVID-y, doesn't it, Gary?
Pardon?
It feels a bit COVID-y doing it this way.
Yeah, it does. It feels like we don't trust each other's health.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, I wouldn't trust Graham Ergan's health.
Danny, stop it. This is a celebration, not a pick on me moment.
I mean, I'm not trying to pick on you.
You look very pale, Mero.
That's the lighting in my room. And my teal ceiling. That's
right, yeah.
And also, since we spoke last week, your team Shamrock Rovers won the League of Ireland. Mero, what does that mean to you? 4 in a row. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to go and see Rovers, and they won 4 in a row, and that was, everybody said at the time, it'll never be done again, you know. And here we are. Like,
it's amazing.
How many will they do in a row, do you think? Is that it?
Going into this season, I thought it was up, especially the start of the season. Went 6 games without a win, 1 defeat and 5 draws, and I thought, all right, that's it now. Enjoy it while it's there. But with the 6 games out of a win, they were playing well. They just couldn't score, or they couldn't get a win over the line. But Friday night at St. Pat's in Inchicore, it was absolutely amazing. It was, I can't even explain it. It was just brilliant because they needed the win to get it over the line. And then they scored in the 82nd minute. You know, those kind of last 10-minute goals. Then they got another one in stoppage time, and pandemonium. It was brilliant. Brilliant. I think they've got 5 in them. If a lot of the squad is sticking around, I think if we were going to be caught, it should have been this season by the likes of Derry and maybe St. Pat's. But I think they probably shit the bed, and the strive for 5 is on. And I've just noticed that Gary has changed his name to Big Show.
You meant to do it earlier and I forgot you. It was either that or the Penetrator. So I went with the Big Show. Sorry, Mero.
Paul, what was it like in the 80s in Milltown for the 4 in a row?
I mean, they were very different. Different times. Fado. The mad thing is, right? Like I was talking to Keith Kelly about this, our mutual friend, a few months ago. Like, you know, like our childhood smelled different to the Ireland of today, right? You know, you go outside your house there, Mero and Ballybrack, like there's clean air and everything. Like, you know, when we were growing up, everywhere smelled of smoky coal and vinegar, right? Because it was just like that's just what our childhood smelled like, and even Milltown smelled of smoky coal and vinegar in those days. So that's what I remember. I remember getting the bus, and especially night matches. I remember getting the bus to Donnybrook and then just walking up that road, and pitch dark, freezing cold. Because no summer football, it was all winter football. Your breath in front of you, you're looking at your breath coming out of your mouth. And then there was always a kind of freeze-on of danger at the matches as well, because there'd always be a bit of trouble, like, you know. I know it's totally different now, Mero. There wouldn't be fights and stuff like that. Like, they're different. The Rovers fans, they're pussies really compared to when I was a kid, like, you know.
Compared to the 80s, is it?
Oh, listen, and they'd be like, I remember my ma stopped me from going to the matches, right? When she read the words "baton charge" in the paper one day, like, you know, and it was a pre-season match. It was Rovers against Celtic, and no, it was a European Cup match. It was Rovers against Celtic. I think 87 around that time. And I remember somebody walked across the pitch. 2 lads walked across the pitch with a banner saying, no brutality, Portlaoise. It was a protest against the brutality in Portlaoise prison. So there was always that kind of backdrop of the troubles and all that kind of thing. Anyway, the cops weighed into the crowd, and I remember there was the baton charge. I remember coming home and I got caught up in it, like, you know, and you're sort of running the excitement of that when you're, you know, 15, like, you know, and then when my ma read baton charge in the paper the next day, I had to sit out a ban for about, I think it was 3 months to go. But my ma used to let me go, like, to Dalymount Park when I was about 14, like me and Mousy, who you know, and Stephen Browne from Oakton. Like, we used to go 14 years of age. We'd be traveling into town and then across to Dalymount or Tolka to see matches, you know. And I said to him years later, I said to my ma, like, what were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking letting me at 14 years of age travel across the city like that?
What'd she say?
She says to me, I thought it was a good idea because I never wanted you to be afraid. I thought that was a great answer. Like,
that's a great line.
Yeah. That we were just sort of, we were loud, like, you know, and it kind of, you sort of grew up a bit, like, because you knew how to change buses and stuff like that. But the football was great. I mean, I don't know how good the football was actually, but I mean, I remember Dermot Keely playing for Rovers in that team, you know, and Liam O'Brien, and, you know, before them, like Liam Buckley and Alan Campbell, like brilliant. Well, they were brilliant to us at the time.
I was going to say, who was your favourite? Like, who was your favourite player growing up of them, of that time? Alan Campbell?
I think so, yeah, because he was from Ballybrack, like, you know, because we all knew he was from Ballybrack. He was from Ashlon, I think. Yeah. And him and Buckley just had this brilliant partnership. You know, the big man, like Buckley used to head them down into Campbell, and Campbell would score. But brilliant. I think they scored 40 goals between them one season or something, like something outrageous like that. But the great thing about the League of Ireland was that you'd see the players around, like, you know, Pooch Davis and Chippy Devlin and everything. They lived like up the road, like, you know, but Chippy Devlin would walk by and, like, there'd be a hush. We'd be out playing football, and then, you know, you'd accidentally on purpose kick the ball over. Boom, just so we'd kick it back, like, you know, so Chippy Devlin had kicked your ball. They were great days, you know. I tend to romanticize my childhood a bit, you know, but I'm sure it was as brilliant as I remember.
There's a great rite of passage that you've kind of inadvertently brought up there, Paul, and that is that thing of like that when you get to those teenage years and you're allowed venture to the city centre for the first time. And it's when you said it there in that line from your mom saying, I didn't want you to be afraid. There's beauty in that. It's a great response. And I'm just curious, like, do you remember that kind of thing when you were oh, my friends are allowed to go. Can I go? And you can sense the hesitancy from your parents, but then you're allowed. It's just that feeling of you do feel like a grown up all of a sudden.
Yeah, getting on the 7 and going into the city centre. Me and Rob Cavaney used to go in. We'd get off the bus at Trinity College, walk over to Virgin Megastore on the Quays, up to Dawson Street, then into Game. Just innocent, great days, great memories. A little bit of independence as well. But you'd be shitting yourself as well in case you saw any townies, like, do you know that sort of way?
Townies, yeah.
How old have you been, Gary?
10. I know, 15, say. 14, 15.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, Gary, we'd no money. Like, that was the thing I remember. Like, you had your bus fare and you were just skint and you just go around, you go to HMV or Virgin Megastore and just look through the same albums and dream about the day you could actually buy it, you know?
It's a different way of growing up now for kids. Like, I definitely think our generation was a better time to grow up, if you like.
Yeah.
And I think the country was a little bit more organic all those years ago. I think now
I remember making your confirmation and getting your money, and that then you'd go down to Dunleary with your class, and then once you did that, you were kind of free to go every Saturday. Prior
you
to
used
that,
to have yours in a Revolut vault, I'd say, have you?
He hasn't invested in crypto, I heard.
When you talk about the 7 bus there, right? Mero, I might have told you this story recently. Like, there's a friend of my brother's from Ashlawn. I won't name him, but he was going.
What does his name sound like?
It sounds like Townie, actually, right? But anyway, he was on the 7, and the bus turned down Churchview Road there, right? And it's flying along Churchview Road. And he looks out the window and he's on his own on the bus and he sees these 4 hard lads walking towards Tesco's, right? And he said, I don't know what possessed me. He said, I just did that again. Just showed them my fist, right? threatened them, right? And he said, the next thing they started running after the bus, right? Right? And he said, I'm sitting on the bus, I'm coming up to the bus stop and I'm looking over my shoulder thinking, fuck, they're going to catch the bus. And just before they get to the bus stop, the bus takes off, right? And he goes, oh, thank God for that. And he looks back and they're chasing after him again, right? They heard after the bus all the way. They chased it all the way down to Loughlinstown Wood.
Jesus.
He jumped off at Loughlinstown Wood. But he said sometimes they'd be like 10 feet away from the bus. It was almost like the busman knew. The busman knew and he was doing it just to, like test his nerves and everything, But I just love that. Just waving, just doing that with the fist. We'll give you that. For nothing, like,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was the character as well.
Yeah. United 2-0 down, lads. Just looking at the results here. Liverpool 2-1 up, 7 minutes to go.
Yeah.
You're obsessed with Man United, is it, Paul?
Like I keep what I like to call a watching brief on their results. Like,
That's putting it fucking mild. Jesus Christ. He's more fucking he gives more information than Samuel Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News, for fuck's sake. If you're a United fan, follow Paul Howard, you'd be right up to date.
It's just to annoy Gary, Paul, is it?
No. I've hated Man United since before Gary was born, But it's an obsession. I'm obsessed with Man United as well, Like I'm obsessed with Liverpool in a very Liverpool Football Club in a very positive way, and it rewards me. I find it very rewarding following Liverpool, but there's a darkness comes over me when, especially when Man United are losing. I don't like the person I become. No, I just become very sneery and just not a nice person to be around if you're a Manchester United fan.
Just on the topic, Paul, and you'll
Oh,
back me
Nana's
up
having
on
a
this.
nightmare, by the way. Sorry, go on.
You'll back me up on this. Danny
Yeah.
called it on Eric Ten Hag. Am I right?
Oh, geez, Danny said it. I think Danny said it the day he was appointed. Danny said
He wasn't happy. Danny
No.
was not happy.
Danny, has anything happened
Gary
in the
loved him.
interim
Gary
to
still
change
backs
your
him
mind?
to this day.
Sorry, Paul. Can you? Graham,
Has anything
stop
has
over.
anything changed in the meantime? Have you changed your mind at all, or do you still think he's not the man for United?
He's not the man. Manchester United Football Club. No further statement at this time.
He never was he, Danny?
I don't believe so. I'm sure he's credible, and I'm sure he'd be brilliant at it. Everton Football Club or a Portsmouth Football Club or but for this is Manchester United Football Club we're talking about. And we let Jurgen Klopp go to that Merseyside share. And Diego Simeone sitting pretty and just
He'll never leave, though, Danny. Simeone will never leave Madrid. He's the highest paid manager,
in the world,
and he never has to win anything. He never has to win a league ever.
Oh, lads, doing a bit of digging and finding a bit of dirt on someone will go a long way. And I think the days of blackmailing people into doing things they don't. All they have to do is find. Simeone has skeletons in his closet, and the Glaziers.
I'd say literally as well, Danny.
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, and the Glaziers should concentrate on unearthing them and forcing them. Like, this isn't hard, lads. This isn't.
Lads, United cannot keep sacking managers.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they should settle for one that's not working.
No, definitely not. But here's the other thing: once Pep Guardiola and Klopp are in the Premier League, United aren't going to be anywhere near it. Sacking Ten Hag isn't going to do a fucking thing. It's going to do nothing because you've the same shower of cowards that decide not to turn up on a match day.
To be
the
fair,
same shower of cowards that don't want to put it in and train, and they're now briefing the press that they run too much during the week. They were moaning about their socks being too tight. They're a shower of fucking cowards.
And he signed most of them.
I was going to say, a lot of them, like Ten Hag has spent a huge amount of money in his short time there. But I think the other side of this is that the caliber of players he's brought in, with the exception of maybe one or two, and even at that, Casemiro this season is not Casemiro last season. And they've had a fierce amount of injuries this season. Maybe they are running too much then. Maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
Played too many pre-season matches as well.
Too much
Paul, sorry, if I can step in there for a second, lads, I would just like to say, though, the pre-season, very successful pre-season, They won a lot of games.
The thing about there really is no pre-season anymore. Like, one season kind of runs into the next. As far as I can see, players get about 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off in the summer, and you're straight into another season. And United they had a tour of America, and they'd 6 or 7 matches, I think, over there. And I thought they looked jaded when the season started. And the other thing, and I'm saying this in United's favor, like, and it sticks in my craw, like, to say it, but, yeah, like,
Would you stop, Paul?
They had a very, very good season last year, right? They had a very, very good season, but it's very difficult in this era of Man City with their 90-something points, doing that. It's very difficult if you're chasing them to put together back-to-back seasons. Like Liverpool did it twice, I think. But when Liverpool won the league, the next season they were terrible, and then, they chased them all the way to the last day 2 years ago. And then the next season, they had a fall off. And I think you just can't do it. You can't sustain, the pace of chasing a cheating Manchester City.
Especially when your team is full of asthmatics, they traditionally don't chase well.
Well, I know a previous guest on our show who now lives in a bunker in Russia did that theory, but I don't think. I just said. See, I said to him one night, "Can you just tell me one player for Liverpool who has asthma? Just one?" And he said, "I can't, because that'd be revealing my sources." And I said, but you've said that 72% of the Liverpool team that's a very specific number, like 72%. Like, so I said, you clearly know you have a number in mind. Just tell me one of them. I can't. That's revealing my sources. So
I don't
now it's up to you to say whether it's up to people to believe whether he's full of shit or not. But that to me sounds like a man who's full of shit, because I know, like, Vincent Browne was my boss when I worked for the Tribune, you know, if you just went into him and said, 72% of the Ireland team are on drugs, right, he would say, well, which ones? And you just go, oh no, you don't need to know their names, just 72%. And he would just sort of, you know, you'd just be sent home, you know what I mean? But in the current era of like citizen journalism, you can put any old shite up on the internet, like, and you'll always get gullible fools to believe it, you know?
All I'm saying, I don't need evidence. I believe him.
Well, I tell you something, if they're on asthma medication, it obviously only works every second year.
Paul, did you love Vincent Browne as a boss?
Oh yeah, I mean, he was just incredible, like, you know. I mean, I was terrified of him, like, because I was very young when I went to work in the Trip. When I was working for Southside when I was about 17, and Southside was owned by the Sunday Tribune, and Vincent moved their newsroom to right outside his office, right? So the first time I knew Vincent Browne from seeing him on television, I was just in awe of him. And then, like, he kind of looked like Gene Wilder in those days, you know. He kind of had that curly hair down the back and everything, and he was just you were just in awe of him. You heard all the stories about him, you know, interviewing Dominic McGlinchey when he was on the run and all that kind of stuff, and he was a legend, like. But See, I think I might have said this to you before. I could never watch Vincent Browne Tonight on TV3 because I would get Vietnam style flashbacks to the editorial meetings, right? And he'd be having someone like Coveney, like, you know, Coveney would come in and he'd be trying to bullshit Vincent, you know, and Vincent would go, "Where's your report?" And Coveney go, "The report will be released within a certain period." Now, where is it? Where is it? And he would just harangue him and harangue him and harangue him. It was like, do you remember in school when there was a teacher and he'd say, "Where's your homework?" And you say, "Oh, just looking for it, sir." And you're looking through your bag, right? And you're hoping the teacher just fucking forgets about it, right? And the teacher just holds the whole class up while you're looking in your bag, and you keep looking up going, is he still looking? And then you know there's no homework. The teacher knows there's no homework. Everybody in the class knows there's no homework, but the sport is in making you go through it. And Vincent was like that with Coveney and many, many others. But for me, it was like being at one of his editorial meetings, right? Because Vincent had these things, right? He'd have a notion. I'd say there were certain things he hated, like certain phrases he hated or ideas. He hated lazy thinking. He hated lazy phraseology. And I remember one time I had written something about Paddy Maloney out of the Chieftains was going to be singing with Pavarotti at the Taj Mahal, right? And I had written this piece, like knocked it out in about 10 minutes on a Saturday morning under deadline. And I just described Pavarotti as the world famous tenor. And you just never knew who Vince was going to go for at a meeting. And he went for me that morning, right? And I was like, the world famous tenor. What do you mean world famous? I said, well, he's famous all over the world. He said, no. Jesus, no. He said, do you think every Inuit in the world has heard of Pavarotti? No, Vincent's thing was because there was probably some people in the world who hadn't heard of it, then he wasn't world famous, you know. There's tribes on islands in the Pacific and they've never been exposed to the outside world. Have they heard of Pavarotti? Then he's not world famous. But you learned so much from that. Like, you know, you just learned to check everything. Like, he was a stickler for checking things. And but I tell you what, he was so supportive of of young people, because I was 17 in there and I looked about 14. Like I looked like child labor gone in there, you know. I looked like someone in there said to me, "You look like a missing poster of a child." I did. I had this sort of innocent look about me, you know. And but Vincent was giving me work to do for the Sunday Tribune at 17. Like, you know, I couldn't. If I'd gone to the Indo, I'd have been waiting until I was about 26 to be doing the stuff I was doing in the Tribune at 17. So
Wow.
he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He didn't care. He didn't care how old you were. As if you're good enough, then you got a chance, you know.
Gary gets very giddy at watching Vincent Browne on YouTube, as we all know from the WhatsApp group. Every once a month, Gary, you'll
like I watch. There's a brilliant 55-minute video on YouTube. It's all Vincent's best bits from the Tonight Show. I genuinely watch it fucking 10 times a month. If I'm cooking in the kitchen, I just stick it on and just listen to it, and I know it word for word. But he was just a powerhouse. He held everyone to account, and like John Burton and Joe Higgins, he would just balance the two of them like a cat with a wool ball, and he'd be just bouncing them off each other, and they were too fucking thick to realize what he was doing. But he was a genius. But you'll never see the like of him again on TV with politicians.
Not even that. The media
Sorry,
landscape.
Danny. It's 3-0 to Newcastle now. Sorry, go ahead.
Very well.
Is it really?
Yeah.
The media landscape has changed that much now that like somebody like Vincent, just there's nobody cut from that cloth. Like even a couple
but I would
years ago,
say,
why isn't there though?
No, I accept what you're saying, Danny. But the media landscape, there weren't many Vincent Brownes even before the media landscape changed. You know, I mean, like one thing that really saddens me about modern journalism is how freely and easily people move from being political correspondents to being media handlers for. And I kind of think, you know, this is my feeling of it. If a political party comes to you and says, we'd like to hire you to be a spokesman for the party, I would be thinking to myself, I must have been doing a shit job for the last 10 years if they want me inside, or either that or I've been doing an outstanding job. But Vincent was
that normal in your day, Paul?
It happened from time to time. But in those days, you had journalists who you kind of knew they were a Fianna Fáil journalist or a Fine Gael journalist. And when there was a change of government, you kind of knew, you could almost say in advance who the next government press secretary was going to be. But
were you ever approached, Paul?
No. I mean, I wasn't never. I mean, I didn't write about politics, but I mean, you know, like for instance, when I was writing about the FAI, if John Delaney had come to me and said, "We'd love you to be the PRO for the FAI," I would just be furious with myself. I'd just say, what kind of a job have I been doing that this man would want me in the building? Like, you know,
one of his last appointments was Cal Derville.
Yeah.
He's now the PRO for the FEI.
Yeah. Cal's great. You know, Cal's a brilliant journalist, great pro for all those years. The funny thing about Cal was I never really thought Cal was especially sympathetic to Delaney. I kind of thought when he appoints him, I thought, wow, that's a bit punchy. I didn't think he was a Delaney acolyte, you know.
Right.
So it was a strange appointment. But what I was saying about Vincent Browne was that, you know, like you saw Vincent Browne, Gary, I'm sure this is on that clip, that 55-minute thing you're watching, you know, where when the IMF came to Dublin and he's sitting in the audience, right? And every single other journalist there is playing the game, right? They know, oh yeah, there's the IMF, they're over here. They sort of just took it as on understanding that this is what happened. This is what happens when a country gets bankrupted. The IMF came in, and they're just covering it as it breaks. And Vincent is the only one there saying, "Who are you, and what gives you the right to come in here and tell us how to run our economy?" You know, I can't remember how he put it, but he was basically saying to the you know, why should the people of Ireland be forced to take on debts that have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with them? And it was
and am I right in saying, Paul, the guy who was leading the talk for the IMF that day, he kind of let on for a good 40 seconds that he didn't understand Vincent.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't understand Vincent in the sense that he understood what he was saying.
Yeah, but it wasn't protocol to be asked that question.
Protocol. That's not how journalists behave. He's coming from Europe where, the journalists who would usually sort of cover his press briefings would be incredibly well paid, would know their place. If they asked a question out of turn, they would get the doyen of the press, whoever that happened to be, would pull them aside and said, well, actually, that's not protocol. The way we ask a question is this way. But Vincent sort of just, he's sort of rolled in there like a grenade, a live grenade. It's just like, and everybody at home is going, yes, exactly. And who else is asking those questions? Nobody. Everybody else is going, oh yeah, the IMF are here now. How do you think this will impact on Irish people? And Vincent's going, who are you? How dare you come here with your fancy laptop bag and your designer glasses and tell Irish people that they have to take on, the lion's share of Europe's debt burden? It was brilliant, and it was such a moment for him as well.
It's like there's so many of those moments with Vincent as well. I remember one. I don't know if it's on that clip you refer to or not, Gary, but it was. Remember, not so long ago, there was a couple, a well-to-do couple, we'll say, who were being. I don't know if they were being evicted or if there was a move on their house in Cloyney, and it turned out they had several properties.
The Kellys.
But when the media were camped outside that house, none of them would cross the threshold.
Yeah,
and then Vincent arrives on the scene, and it's very much, what are you doing? I'm going in.
Oh, sorry, that was Garth Hill.
Garth Hill, yeah.
And
not the
Kellys. Brian O'Donnell.
Brian O'Donnell, yeah.
He just marches straight past, and all of a sudden, it's like everybody else then goes, oh, fuck, well, if he's going in. And it was like the fucking leading the charge, and it was just... brilliant.
And he's knocking on the front door and the big glass panels to the side of the door. And here he is looking in, hopping the door out of it.
He's in the back garden and all, the view over Cloyney Bay and all.
He was picking up the gravel and everything, looking at the gravel.
See, that's the thing, with other journalists, there was an invisible barrier there that they wouldn't cross. Vincent's thing is, there's no, I don't see any barrier here, so I'm going in. And Vincent learned his journalism in the North, and I think anybody who covered the Troubles in those early years was just harder than anybody who came out of any journalism school. Like a pal of mine, Declan Lynch, says that about journalists now. Journalists now, when you meet them, especially younger guys going into the profession, I don't mean this sounds mean-spirited, but it's not meant to be. But you could be meeting junior accountants or a fella working in a chemist shop, They're mannerly, they're presentable. Like when I started in journalism first, there was a huge number of journalists who were just deeply strange people, alcoholics, a huge number of them. I mean, it's amazing that a newspaper like the Press Group used to produce 2 newspapers every day and one on Sunday. And if you went to the White Horse Inn, all of their staff were in there, and they brought out all these newspapers. But the ones who were schooled in the North, people like Kevin Myers and Vincent Browne, were just because they were at the coalface of something. Like Vincent was arrested and charged with possession of either a shot, I think it might have been a submachine gun or something in the early days of the Troubles. And Vince was doing a story on how easy it was to acquire arms. More probably the ones that Howie brought in, but Vincent, but that's where Vincent, do you know what I mean? So don't tell Vincent he can't walk across this invisible line into this person's property. He's been around more corners than any of these lads put together. One time I was in the office, I'll never forget this. I was working for Sport at the time, and I was walking by his door, and I learned not to make eye contact with Vincent, right? Because I just happened to be walking by his door. His door was open, And I just looked up and he looked at me and he went, just as I passed the door, I just said, Paul, come in here. Anyway, in I go. And he said to me, anyway, named a TD, right? And he said, he's in the Dáil talking about family values this morning. And he beats his wife. And I said, oh, right. And I said, why is he telling me this? So he said, I want you to ring him up and ask him, does he beat his wife? And I said, right. I said, no, ring him right now. Here's his number. And he gave me his number and he sent me out. And I was just shitting myself. It was absolute shit. I didn't know what to do. So I knew a guard in your man's local station, you know, and I rang him up and he said, give me a second, I'll have a look. So he went to the book. Every Garda station, I don't know if it's still the case, I suspect it is, but every Garda station in those days had a ledger in which they wrote out every crime longhand, right, Mero? So if you went in and you said, you know, my car was stolen, that's written in the book, the time it was reported, all the crimes were actually logged longhand in a big kind of Dickens style book, right? Bob Cratchit kind of style. And you can actually go into a Garda station and ask to see the book. Like it's public record, right? Nobody, it's just nobody knows this and nobody ever does. But anyway, your man went and had a look for me and he came back and he said, there'll be 2 complaints about him in the past. One was withdrawn the next day and one was withdrawn a week later, right? So I went back to Vincent with this information and he said, no, that's not good enough. You have to ring him and put it to him. Anyway.
Did you tell Vincent you rang a guard?
Yeah. I thought he'd give me a pat in the back. I thought he'd give me an attaboy for that, like, you know, and anyway.
Attaboy.
He says to me, no, you have to ring him. And I just went out and I couldn't, right? I was too soft. I just was too soft to do it, right? But anyway, this other journalist, a woman who was around the same age as me, she just went, I'll do it. And she took the number off me and she rang him up. And she said it
in front of Vincent.
No, just in the newsroom. And then she basically took the story off me. Like she could see, she could see I was basically Harry Maguire. I didn't fucking have it, right? And she had it. Like she was hungry. Like, you know, she would have done anything for story. She just snatched the paper out and I'll ring him. She rings him up, and I hear him on the phone, and she's saying to him, "Stop crying, stop."
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And anyway, he admitted everything to her, absolutely everything, and bawling his eyes out. And she went on to become an outstanding journalist, you know, and I knew that day. And Vincent absolutely loved her for it, like, you know. But then I was just, you know.
But it didn't go to print, did it?
No. That was Vince went, we can't print this. This is libelous.
He just wanted you to ring.
Yeah. But just even being around you know, we'd great editors after Vincent. Like Peter Murta was a great editor. You know, Matt Cooper was an absolutely brilliant editor. But there was something really sparky about the Tribune when Vincent was there. You know, it was just, it was kind of like, you know, he had this running feud with Howie and they hated each other. And Vincent was kind of born for Howie, really. You know, like they say that, like, you know, somebody like Hunter S. Thompson was born for Richard Nixon, just a journalist who is going to be the nemesis of that person, you know. And it was Hunter S. Thompson for Nixon, and Vincent was the man for Howie, you know. And what was extraordinary about that relationship was that when Howie was dying, Vincent used to go out to his house once a week for a long time, a couple of years, I think, you know, and spend time with him. And these two kind of adversaries, and they had this sort of Tuesdays with Maury kind of relationship where they you know, it was kind of like just like two kind of retired heavyweights, like talking about the old days, you know. And I thought that was amazing. One thing I love about Vincent, by the way, and I loved when he was a journalist, he had no interest in money. And I always thought it was a great thing for a journalist not to be interested in money. Like he had a nice house in Dalkey and everything, you know, but he told a friend of mine that he hadn't been in the black since he was in college. Like, you know, he's always in debt for various things. But he wasn't motivated by money. But he was fascinated by people who were motivated by money. Like he loved spending time with people like Michael Smurfett. Like he'd have dinner with Michael Smurfett a couple of times a year, but was fascinated by him, but didn't want to be like that, but just couldn't. You know, he was just fascinated by people who were fascinated by money. That's the way I'd put it. You know, but he wasn't corrupted by it himself. You know. And hated politicians. That was a brilliant thing about him as well. Like, you know, and I'm sorry, we're talking about him in the past tense, but I'm talking about him in career terms. You know, he hated politicians, just instinctively hated them. Like, you know, just and I mean, they not enough political journalists in Ireland are like that. I kind of think they respect politicians a lot in Ireland, but Vincent had that kind of American approach to it, like that he just considered all politicians to be irredeemably corrupt until they proved.
And careerists as well. He thought they were all careerists.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
He gave Donnelly a hard time, didn't he?
Yeah, but Donnelly brought it on himself because Donnelly spent years basically claiming that Fianna Fáil were the mafia, and then goes and fucking joins them.
And do you remember the night he joined them when he appeared on the Vincent Browne show?
Yeah, Vincent couldn't even catch his breath at the start of it. He was like, he just couldn't wait to get going. This is the first time Stephen Donnelly has been on the show with me as presenter. And he forgot to do the text VinB hashtag thing and everything. The producer was obviously in his ear. He didn't know where to be going. He just wanted to go with Donnelly. It was fucking class.
Danny, are you going to Bruce Springsteen? The tickets are going on sale on Monday. Are you going again?
I'm very hopeful that I'll get tickets, Paul, to at least one of the shows. I'd love to do more than one. I said to Mero after the last round that I had a dreadful feeling as I left that it might be the last time we see him. So I'm absolutely thrilled that I'm wrong, and I'll be. Yeah.
How come he's coming back so soon, Danny?
I don't have the answer for that, Graham, but I'm just very grateful that he is.
It's mental, isn't it?
Just that I think that's kind of the way they all do stuff now. Like they do a world tour and then they circle back and do all the places where the shows were sold out, where they think they can sell again. Yeah. I was a bit disappointed, Danny, by the show this year.
Right.
Yeah, I was a bit because you see that album Letter to You. There was about 7 songs on that. I just kept thinking, I want to hear the big stadium treatment of that song. And it ended up being a kind of greatest hits concert. I don't want to hear but Born in the USA again. Like, you know, give me, you know, Ghosts, or, you know, If I Was the Priest, that's
House with Thousand Guitars. I really wanted House with Thousand Guitars. I mean, you know,
Rainmaker. You can play Rainmaker. And Rainmaker is made for a big stadium, like, you know.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. But I hope maybe he'll do them on the way back.
I'm hoping that we'll get it's the first time I went to see him 2 of the 3 Dublin shows, and there were variants in the set list, but it's the first time that I've gone to Springsteen more than once on the same tour where I felt I was getting the same show. And Mero, I think when we were talking, I said it, that it felt like, I mean, Springsteen's mid-70s. He's not a young man, but you always felt he had this presence and energy, and that was decades younger than he was. But this was the first time. I remember on one of the nights he stopped to put on a jacket, and he looked cold, he looked tired, and I was like, Jesus, Father Time waits for no one. It's like it's catching Bruce, and that kind of stayed with me. And then, like you were saying as well, I would have loved to have heard more from Letter to You. Like, it's one of his best albums in fucking years. I just felt like you left a bit out there. You could have. I didn't need to hear.
Maybe that's why he's coming back.
I hope so. I didn't need to hear the 15-minute version of Kitty's Back. I didn't need to hear, as Paul said, Born in the USA. Like, you know, I would have loved to hear a little bit more. We only got one song off the The
It's only one, wasn't there? Yeah.
Night Shift, which is grand. I wasn't overly enamored with that album. I can't even remember what it's called now, to be honest. Only the Strong Survive. It was grand, but Letter to You is a smashing album. I would love more of it.
Could just not reach out to him and see what the criteria is for this tour?
I've had contact with him in the past, Gary.
You could get on to CDB to maybe touch base with him, Paul.
Yeah, or I could use my own. I have a CDB being Krista Berg, a dear friend.
Course, yeah.
But I could also. I have a phone number for his. I have a phone number for his. Hang on, his lawyer, his personal lawyer, right? From when I used some lines from a Springsteen song in one of my books, I had to get permission to use them, right?
Was it long time coming?
Long time coming, yeah.
I remember when I opened the book and I read it, Paul, and I instantly went, I love this book and I don't even need to read chapter 1.
So anyway, I used this line. It was about 8 lines or something, and I had to ring up. I rang the record company and they said, oh yeah, no, just get on to his attorney. He owns all the licensing for all the songs, so just get on to his personal attorney. Here's the number. And I rang this woman, and she's very nice, like really nice woman actually. And so she says to me, yeah, that's no problem. How many lines? I said, it's about 8 lines. And what's the print run? I think they're doing 60,000 copies. Okay. That'll be $200, right? I went, what? I thought she was going to say like 10 grand or something, like $200. I said, okay. And she said, I said, who do I wire the money to? Oh no, don't wire the money. She said, send us a draft in US dollars, right? I said, okay. Who do I make it payable to? She says, Bruce Springsteen. I said, I make it payable to Bruce Springsteen. And she said, yes, Bruce Springsteen. So anyway, I had to go across to the Ulster Bank on Bagot Street, right?
That is fucking hilarious.
It was fucking lunchtime, right? And the bank is packed.
You love going to banks, don't you, Paul?
I get in terrible trouble. Like, just banks and post offices, just they're flashpoints for me. Then me blood gets boiling, like, But anyway, I'm standing in the queue and I'm looking behind me. There's about fucking 20 people behind me in the lunchtime bank queue. And I have to go up, and it was the days there was still glass. There was like an inch of bulletproof glass between me and the teller. And anyway, so I said, "Can I get a draft, please?" Yeah, no problem. In dollars, yeah. How much is it for? $200, yeah. Okay. And who's it made payable to? And I'm like, I just go, Bruce Springsteen. Sorry, Bruce Springsteen. Sorry, I can't hear you. So I go, Bruce Springsteen, right? And all of a sudden, I just hear this ripple of laughter right the way through the bank. He said, Bruce Springsteen, he's getting 200 quid for Bruce Springsteen. So your man, the teller, turned to me and he just went, absolutely priceless. He just said, Bruce Springsteen. And he went, obviously not the Bruce Springsteen. And I went, actually, yes. So anyway, a few months later, Springsteen was in Dublin, and me and Mary were walking by the Merrion Hotel one night, and he was coming out. He was coming down the steps. Coming down there's like maybe 60 or 70 fans like there, And I just went, Bruce, did you get that? No, we didn't.
Get that check.
It's definitely see if your contact in, Paul, can shed some light, and then
I'll send him another 200 quid, and I'll just say, brilliant. Could you see your way clear to just playing some of the new stuff, Yeah. See, I blame Culchies, Danny, right? And I don't listen. I'm saying that as somebody who like Gary it lives very happily in Wicklow, and I know you live outside Dublin as well. But the problem is mostly people from Tipperary who go to Bruce Springsteen concerts and complain that they want to hear all the stuff off Born in the USA, just fucking stay home and listen to Born in the USA. Like, just
if I see a pair of bootcut jeans, I know that person is not the person who should be at a gig. That bootcut jeans and brown shoes, instantly I'm like, you're a greatest hits person.
Yeah, and girls with pink Stetsons. Girls with pink Stetsons are always
woo girls.
First and foremost, Garth Brooks fans, and then they're only day trippers to Bruce Springsteen. Like,
Niels Lofgren follows me on Twitter. I might drop him a message and be like, Niels, listen, mate, I hope you're keeping well. Regards to Amy, your lovely wife. Come here. Can you see fit to work a few of the new ones into the set list?
Who the fuck is he when he's at home?
Go easy, Gary, will you please? The man's
No,
a
I
legend.
don't know who he is. Who is he?
He's the guitarist in the E Street Band.
Oh,
One
apologies.
of the
Okay.
originals, yeah.
How does he follow you, Danny? How did that happen?
A number of years ago, I was listening to Bruce Springsteen and E Street Band live in New York City, and there's a brilliant version of Youngstown on that particular album. And I listened to it and I said, you know what? I want to fucking watch that because the solo from Niels Lofgren is just. I watched it and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to tweet him my approval. That's fucking amazing. Because I must have watched it about 5 or 6 times in a row, just loving every second of it. So I did, and then he sent a message back saying, thanks very much, appreciate the kind words. And then he followed me.
Wow.
I mean, that make your day.
I dine out on it, Graham. I dine out on it. It allows me in conversations like this to say a member of the E Street Band follows little old me.
Mero, who's the most famous person follows you on Twitter?
You.
I know
Chuck
that.
D. Chuck D from the Public Enemy. Okay, thanks, lads. Christy Moore, I'm only joking. Christy Moore.
Christy Moore.
Yeah. Chuck D does follow me from the Public Enemy, though.
Yeah, but Chuck D wouldn't look after his own email account or internet account, would he?
Stop ruining the buzz here, will you? Jesus.
Gary, what about you? Who's the most famous person follows you?
Miguel Delaney.
No.
Gloria Honeyford.
No. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of verified accounts, but not all famous people are verified now.
Louis Spence.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Whoa,
Stop. No, he doesn't.
That's a big one. That's
Judge.
a big one.
Stone Cold follows you.
Yep.
Is
Get a
that
grip.
explaining the look?
Well, this was for Eric Ten Hag, but I think I'm going to have to change it to Roberto De Zerbi.
Actually, yeah, Gary, there is a similarity. If you were to throw on a polo neck now, like your Halloween costume would have been complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there is similarities. I don't know. Most famous person. I don't know. I love on Twitter if you go at somebody, not go at somebody, but if you interact with somebody who's famous and you get a bite straight away. Like I went at Mitch Winehouse one evening, and there was a bit of to and fro, and he blocked me, but it was fucking great. It was like scoring a goal in the FA Cup final. Like you get what you want.
You don't like Mitch Winehouse, don't you know?
Fucking hate him. He is a feral cunt, if there ever was one. And I told him as such. In fact, I only had a discussion with friends over the weekend about him. And, throwing Amy onto a plane to go and do a gig in Serbia when she was on death's door. And then she wasn't cold in her grave, and he's bringing out a fucking jazz album. Like he's just.
You told him that, did you?
Oh, I did. In no uncertain terms.
I don't. Do you know what this Amy Winehouse we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, I
now just be careful. Gary took the Amy Winehouse death like he took the Stephen Gately death. Not very well.
Not well. Right. Well, what I was going to say was
just be careful.
I remember at the time around sort of whatever it was, 2007, 2008, was it? No, maybe even earlier. Was it when she was big?
Yeah,
2008, yeah.
Back in Black was red, yeah. And I remember thinking she was brilliant, right? But then I heard Back in Black for the first time in ages, about a year ago. And like, not only has it stood, like she sounds even better now, like, doesn't she? Like that music,
yeah.
She was such a one-off, like, there's nobody sounds like her. Absolutely nobody sounds like her. She's just incredible. What a loss, though,
Yeah, she was unnaturally talented.
Yeah,
a 1 in a million voice and performer. But look,
and writer as well, Gary.
Listen, the whole package. But unfortunately, had a taste for the Harry Kane and the other stuff.
And that's kind of a when you think of people like Billie Holiday and everything, like you can't separate the tragic life from the tragic songs. It's almost like she was singing her life. She didn't need to play a part when she was writing those songs. They were autobiographical. And because the tragedy in them. And she she lived that sadness and that torment and everything, and if she wasn't tormented, the songs would have just sounded like Adele or something.
Yeah, but I mean, in the height of her fame and her success, multi-platinum award-winning artist, and she's wandering around Soho at 6 a.m. off her biscuit, doesn't know where she is.
Yeah.
That's just heartbreaking. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's mental.
Particularly at a time when paparazzi were probably at their worst.
Feral.
It'd break her heart, and of course her father just behaving like a greedy fucking pig. Really got to me. But sure, look it, as they say.
I mentioned to you a week or two ago that I was I'm going to be making me singing debut myself now over New Year, and I was wondering, were you thinking of heading down yourself to Fitzgerald's in Avoca for the Stars in Your Eyes?
Well, look, I mean, I won't rule it out. If you're going to give it a go, sure, we might as well.
Yeah, I might. I'm seriously thinking about. I nearly did it twice before. I had to pull out one year because I was sick, and I had to pull out another year because I think I was drunk.
This New Year's Eve, Paul, is it?
Yeah, I think it might be the day before New Year's Eve. It's in that period between Christmas and New Year where you never know what day of the week.
No man's land,
right?
yeah.
And but they have a Stars in Your Eyes in Fitzgerald's, and I was in the pub. I was having me lunch there about 4 or 5 years ago, and this fella came up to me. I was looking at the poster, and this fella came up to me and said, "Are you thinking of entering?" And I said, I love the accent. Are you thinking of entering? I said, I am actually, yeah. He said, who would you do? And I said, I don't know, like I might, maybe Roy Orbison. He said, you won't win. I said, why not? He said, same fella wins it every year. And I said, who does he do? And he says to me, Elvis. Everybody does Elvis. I just love that. Like, it's kind of Stars in Your Eyes, but it's really just an Elvis lookalike and singing.
Yeah, Elvis tribute.
It's like that episode of Father Ted.
Yeah. It was a bit Father Ted, all right. Yeah.
So would you go in as Roy Orbison then?
Oh yeah, but that'd really shake it up though, wouldn't it? Like if everybody's doing Elvis, and I just suddenly arrive with the big black glasses and everything, and the black wig and all, I'll probably do She's a Mystery to Me or something like that.
That'd be lovely, yeah.
I'd probably do Fine Young Cannibals. I'm really good at singing. Or I just to create drama, I could go with Sam Smith in all the gear.
You could, yeah.
In all the gear,
all the tassels and nipple tassels and all that crack.
Yeah,
you sing his song brilliantly. What is it? What's that song again?
Well, I can sing any of them because I can hit really high notes.
You can.
What's the one, the famous one that you sang?
I'm not the only one.
You wouldn't give us a bar of that now, would you?
I can't, unfortunately, at the moment. I'd have to have a Lemsip first.
The Lemsip allows you to hit the higher notes, does it?
It settles me, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do Stephen Gately?
Well, I like Steve was part of a group.
Yeah.
His single song was brilliant.
Pardon?
The single that he brought out was brilliant.
Listen, a fantastic person, missed every day.
Mero,
what was it about Gately that his death that you took so rough?
Well, his husband was a cunt and was known for years.
Right.
And he, I suppose, much like Mitch Winehouse and his daughter, just soaked and drained every crevice of the man until he destroyed him in the end.
Right,
I would say, pardon?
Did you know him?
I did, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I would say on the record is Gerald Keane was very good to him in his latter years, and to the family after his death.
Yeah. Anytime you mention Gerald Keane, I got a shiver down my spine because it usually results in us getting papers. So I'm going to move along, Gary. That's all right. Mero, if you were doing the Stars in Your Eyes with Gary and Paul down in Wicklow, who would you do?
Oh God, I don't know.
Or if you had a karaoke, so we'll simplify it for you there. What would you?
Christy, you'd do Christy, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't do Christy karaoke. No, I'd probably do Kings of Leon or something.
You wouldn't get away with Kings of Leon, Mero. Just stop.
I would.
If you sang Sex on Fire,
I'm
going to take as a warning.
Not an Evoca.
No. I do
Mero,
sex
you'd be
on
better
fire.
off doing fucking Richie Kavanagh or something.
Seriously, in a vocal, like you wouldn't get away with. You couldn't bring the king. Imagine
Richie
singing
Kavanagh
"Your Sex Is on Fire" in Fitzgerald's, Gary. Like it just
No, it wouldn't work, Mero.
no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't work. It's the wrong
wouldn't
audience. Like Neil Diamond is considered modern music down there. Like
Yeah. I wanna have a
Whitney
bad
Houston,
word
I Will Always Love You was still number one up there.
Yeah.
I thought that pub closed during COVID, Paul. Didn't open back up, no?
Oh no, it's open again. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
is it? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Paul, have you any tattoos?
No, I don't have any tattoos. No.
Did you ever consider them?
I don't. No, I didn't really. Like I didn't. I never did. I don't mind them. Like I see if I was going to do it, I want the sleeves, like the Max Cady from Cape Fear look. Like that's what I'd want. I want the full arms and all the rest. Like I kind of do think if you're going to do it, go for it. Like but I'm too old now. Like a 52-year-old man getting tattoos is just there's something. I might as well get a ponytail and a 19-year-old girlfriend. Like it's pathetic.
and a motorbike.
It's just pathetic. Like
Ray Clark used to have a ponytail, Paul.
did he?
Yeah.
I tell you, I was in the car with him there a few weeks ago. He said it's a long time since his ponytail days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like they're gone, Mero. They're never coming back, are they?
No,
He's a big guy, Mero. He's a fantastic guy, your uncle.
I know he is, yeah. Legend.
If I was going to get anything though, I wouldn't rule this out, right? I'd get the Liverpool Football Club crest on my back.
On your back.
On your full
Mary
back.
wouldn't allow that.
What?
Mary wouldn't allow that.
No. She would. I mean, look. I mean, if I said to Mary, I'm just popping into town to get the Liverpool crest on the back, I think she'd probably get me sectioned, like But yeah, I don't think Mary would be happy with that at all. Not because she's acting against Liverpool. It's just that I don't think she'd want my whole back to be just tattooed like that.
Danny, you got a tattoo today.
Well, more than one, but yeah.
You got more than one.
Well, yeah, a bit to Paul's point there. Like, if you're going to do it, do you know what I mean? You might as well. So, yeah.
Danny, what did you get? Are you allowed to talk about it, or is there an unveiling or anything?
Well, no, well, it's wrapped up at the moment because, like, it's fresh and you have to wrap them. So, I mean, like, it's not, you know what I mean? But, like, I've got a few. Like, this isn't a new gig to me, lads. You know what I mean?
It's news to me. I never knew you had them.
That is, yeah, sure.
Oh, wow.
I've got a few there.
Oh, see, that's what I'd want.
Yeah.
What is it, Danny?
There's a few there now that are a bit, some of them I just got because I like them. Ted, there's a conversation piece in one of them, lads. Hang on, you can see there. There's me Neil Diamond. See?
Oh,
Diamond on its knees.
You got a Neil Diamond tattoo?
I've had that for that one's there a little while now.
Seen that one before on your Instagram, I think.
And what's brought all this on, Danny?
I just like tattoos. Gary, nothing.
Yeah.
It's not
Everything's okay, like.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm all right. It's not
Midlife crisis. What did you call him earlier on, Gary?
Compared me to somebody's child.
You compared him.
Well, just for the viewers, right? So we were an hour late meeting up because Danny had some shit on. So there was a bit of to and fro.
Liverpool United lost 3-0. Sorry, Gary. Go ahead.
Thanks for the update, Paul.
Fucking Paul Goldbridge. Tattoos. You're losing the run of yourself. You're like Romeo Beckham swanning around the place.
Romeo Beckham.
He's a handsome boy. He's a handsome boy.
He is.
Is everything all right at home? Are you getting anywhere? You finished now, Danny, or are you still going through the midlife crisis?
Oh, no, there'll be a few more. And I resent that, lads. I'm only 36. I haven't hit midlife yet.
Oh, that's true, Danny. I did forget you were only mid-30s.
You'd be buying a Harley Davidson next.
Anybody ever tell you that life begins at 50, right? If somebody will say that to you, inevitably one day in the next 14 or 15 years, it's not true. It's fucked, right?
You're having a hard time, Paul.
Listen. I mean, I buy kitchen rolls in ones now. Seriously, I was in hospital last week. I went in to get a hernia operation, right? And Anyway, I get put on, I'm under the anesthetic, like, you know, and I wake up and the consultant is in the room with me, and I just see this face on him, and he just says, yeah, it didn't exactly go to plan. And I just I'm looking for Mary to see, is she crying, like, you know. But Mary's here at the same time as me. Anyway, they were supposed to fix my hernia, but I had this thing called Mackle's diverticulum, right? And Mackle's diverticulum this is disgusting. This is, my stomach turned when he explained what it was, right? It's basically a little bit of your umbilical cord doesn't disengage, right? And it stays in your colon, right? Or in your intestine, but it keeps growing. Like, is that the most John Hurt from Alien shit you've ever heard in your life? It keeps growing.
That's been there for 52 years.
Yeah, 53 this year. And anyway, it was like, he said it was as big as your index finger. And it was poking into me bowel, right? Jesus. So they had to take it out. So anyway, I've ended up, right, with I've got 7 stab wounds all over me, right? My side, my stomach. They did it with they did a really clean job, actually, with keyhole surgery, you know. Yeah. But I've all the pain of the hernia operation and none of the benefits of it. So I've got this hernia, right? And it's right in the middle of me 6-pack, what I would generously call my 6-pack, right? And Gary's heard the stories about me in the Bay gym in Arklow, throwing the weights around, you know, just like absolutely smashing it session after session. But the thing is, right, you could see this lump through my t-shirt, right? Like, and I don't really have much of a 6-pack anyway, but this big lump the size of my fist sticking out from my t-shirt was absolutely vile, you know. So anyway, your man who did the operation, he did a great job, like, because he sewed it up, he pushed it in and pushed everything down, and he just sewed it up. Now I don't know if it'll hold, but that's what I'm into now, lads. Like, you know, 52 years of age, I'm like a fucking car, just doing running repairs on a vintage car to try to keep it roadworthy.
So life doesn't start at 50; the operation starts.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, and I'm on what they call the insurance companies call it Sniper Alley, right? That basically everything that could potentially kill you, like, is basically you're going to get it between the ages of 50 and I think it's 45 and 55. Everything, it's the danger zone for everything. And they say if you can get out of Sniper Alley, so if you hit 55 and you're not dead, then you've got a pretty decent chance of leading a longer life, you know.
Are they going back for the hernia, Paul?
I don't know. They said I'm all hernia. That's the problem. Like, he said, he was pointing to bits of my body where I didn't even think it was possible to have a hernia, showing me where, and he said they'd need to put a bit of mesh into me so big that it would be dangerous to put that amount of mesh into a body, like, you know. So I'm just apart, like, you know. And but I met a couple of mates of mine from Ballybrack yesterday, 2 old schoolmates of mine, and we just spent the whole time like three outlads just talking about all the things that were wrong with us, like, you know. Yeah. And it happened, and then we just said, do you remember, it's like 5 years ago we were at our 21st. So just enjoy it, lads. Anyway, sorry to bring you down.
No, it's all right. And how's the recovery going, Paul?
I'm very sore on my left side, right? He said he had to put a big implement in there because I think they were stapling me bowel close, like that. But he said now it does feel like, you know, there might be a stapler still in there, like it's kind of lumpy, and
he's left his tools behind, like, potentially.
What? Sorry, say it again, Danny.
He's left some tools behind, potentially.
Well, I mean, he very professional, brilliant job. Yeah. Very clean, you know, did a brilliant job. I'm not too badly cut up.
Yeah. I'm
a mess, like, you know. My gastrointestinal system is just like a war zone.
It's all the rich food you eat.
No, this is basically since birth. I have a scar, right, from my sternum right the way down below me belly button, right down there, right? Really impressive looking thing. And that was from a hiatus hernia operation I had about 25 years ago to fix it. In St. Michael's Hospital in Dunleary. And anyway, was agony, right? This is sore now. That one was agony because I was sliced open. They tried to do it by keyhole and they couldn't, so they just cut me open. I remember I was lying there in the bed, right? It was the summer of 1999, and Wimbledon was on the telly. I was in the ward, and there was an owl lad in the bed to me left, and an owl lad in the bed to me right. Separate beds, right? But 3 beds in a row, right? Anyway, Wimbledon was on the telly, and it was rained off, right? So they put on an old McEnroe Borg match from the 70s, and your man on me right just went, "Jesus, is that John McEnroe still playing?" And I'm like, "Jesus, he must be." And your man says, "Look at Borg. Jesus, he looks great, doesn't he? He hasn't aged a bit." And I was laughing, right? And I couldn't stop. And I burst me stitches open, right? I laughed so much. I burst open, and all this blood was seeping through me bandages and everything. Oh, it was horrendous, like, you know, but it's not to do with rich food. It's just to do with like bad genes, you know, weak genes.
I used to love that in Wimbledon when a game was rained off and they'd show footages from the archives. Used to love it.
Or they'd get Cliff Richard down from the seats, sing a few tunes.
Or CDB.
CTB, yeah.
CTB, yeah.
Cliff's a paedophile now, is he? Is that the latest on him?
No, Gary, no.
No, he was cleared.
Absolutely not.
Oh, he was cleared, of course he was.
Yeah. Gerald, if you're listening, calm down. Stop, put the pen down. You don't need to write a letter. We're not saying.
Yeah, apologies. I went very QAnon there for a second. I was just showing off.
QAnon. Have you had any operations, Gary?
No, thank God. Well, look, I feel fine. Obviously, I've had a couple of episodes over the last few years where I fainted and stuff. Generally around December, January, but I don't drink enough water. So it's something that I've tried to bring into my being, and I have been doing. And actually, I was told if you put some Himalayan pink salt into your water and drink it, it replenishes a lot of the minerals in your system that might be gone. So it's working for me so far. But no, I've never had operations or anything like that, thank God.
Very
Lovely.
good. Very good. Paul,
Remember you took the tour on Christmas Day?
Oh, stop. Yeah, disaster.
I was very unsettled, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were very upset.
Gary sent me a selfie in the back of an ambulance on Christmas Day 2 years ago.
Christmas morning, yeah.
Christmas morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I was woken up to one of my best friends in the back of an ambulance, and I thought he was taking the piss.
Very.
I was going to say,
Gary, I shouldn't be laughing. This could be a serious episode, was it?
Well, no, his son just walked over him to play the Xbox. He didn't give a shit.
The Charlie just stepped over me. I was on the ground, turned grey with my tongue hanging out. The kids stepped over me to get to their shit. But no, basically, I fainted on Christmas morning. Got tests and all done, and blood's ECG come back fine. But basically, what the doctor said was, so they're wired here for Christmas, like wired. It's madness. It's
You hate parenting, is it, Gary?
Yeah, it verges on, I don't know, Asperger's with them or something. But yeah, the doctor said, so when I was woken, I was in his sleep and I was woken up really quickly, you know, to get up for all the carry on. It's the equivalent of waking up in the middle of the night and your alarm going off. You stand up and you function, but your brain isn't ready for what your body is. So I just clattered and hit the ground. And I ended up in Nace General Hospital. They thought I was just up all night on cocaine and drink. I knew by the way they were talking to me.
What way were they talking to you?
What drugs did you take? I said I didn't take any drugs. I had 3 cans of Guinness, and I didn't even have any Jaeger, for the record. And that was 3 cans of Guinness over around 4 hours. I said, look at my pupils, I'm fucking fine. But anyway, when all the tests come back, they were like, they didn't even test me for COVID. This was Christmas 2021, I think.
Oh, this is recent, right? Okay.
Oh yeah. But now after they sent me off, everything was fine. Gemma was very worried about me, and so much so that she watched me having a shower, which I found quite erotic. That was the one benefit of collapsing on Christmas morning.
I've been watching the shower following a medical incident also.
Oh,
And it was
it wasn't Father Mitchell, Danny, was it?
it wasn't Father Mitchell. No. I once fractured my skull on a bouncy castle and had to spend some time in
that's
hospital
right.
as a result. And
How the fuck did you manage that? Did you come off the castle?
I did, yeah, spectacularly. But
Fucking rock bottom off it.
yeah, and it was in Newry, and I spent a couple of days in Daisy Hill Hospital with a fractured skull and concussion. And after a couple of days, when I had a good sense of what was going on, I could also smell myself. So I requested that I could, have a wash. And they were like, yeah, but due to the nature of your injury, a nurse will have to supervise.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, they now. got me hopes up. And all I can say is that's all that got up, because the nurse that supervised me was
Male nurse, was it, Danny?
It wasn't Paul. No, it was
Sister Sue, was it?
I would have
Kevin
preferred,
from Monreid.
I would have preferred that. This nurse was extremely close to retirement, had seen it all, done it all, and had no time for my bullshit. And I'll never forget, as she sat in the chair, fucking, a Reader's Digest. She was fucking reading an old school little Reader's Digest magazine. And I'd say the water had only hit me flute. And she was like, are you done?
Oh, Jesus. And did you wash the captain or anything like that, or was it just a quick...
Hurriedly, Gary. Hurriedly. Yeah. So,
did you rinse it or just...
to be honest, I think I soaked it up and I just put the jocks on. I was like, I'm done now. I'm very sorry for taking your time.
I remember I was going in for the laser therapy, and Danny says to me before it.
What were you getting lasered? Your eyes or something, was it?
No, I had kidney stones. You know this.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Danny was saying to me, watch out and see if you get a free pubic trim.
That's right.
And I was like, what? And Danny got his knee done. He goes, and I woke up and had a pubic trim. I was like, for fuck's sake. And so I was in the recovery ward off my absolute face on whatever they give you. And I woke up and the nurse is putting the stuff in my mouth. And I was like, did I get me free pubic trim? And the nurse is like, sorry. And I says, I'm just, did I get me free pubic trim? And then she was a non-national nurse and she couldn't really understand me. And then an Irish male nurse came over and he says, yes, Graham, you got your free pubic trim now. Are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm grand. And then you could feel the drugs wearing off and you just realise what you said and the mortification.
And did you get it?
No, he didn't.
No.
No, it was laser therapy. Like it was not incision or anything like that. It was just in me. It was in my head.
They might look after you.
They took a graft.
It was just Danny had it in my head.
They took a graft from my pelvic area for my knee surgery, and that's why I required a pubic trim. But I just like telling people when they're going in for any operation, she's careful now, you might come out with less pubes you do it. Oh, I tell you.
Those recovery ward moments are absolutely hilarious though. I remember one year as well, I asked was me horse Shergar outside, and they were like, what? I was like, I'm going to a lecture picnic next month and I just want to make sure my horse is outside. They're like, yeah,
Christ.
of course the horse is outside. It'll be there for you when you're recovered. I'd say they see an awful lot of shite.
Ah, jeez, they put up
literally, I'd say.
Do you ever see the YouTube clips of the lads coming out of the dentist and all?
I've seen a few of them. Yeah, seen a few.
Hilarious.
I would say I had an operation a few years ago, and the anaesthetist says to me, okay, I'm going to count you down from 10 now. And he went 10, 9, 8. And then he went, and it is gender reassignment you're in for, right? And then I was out, right? And then I was out. And that was the last thing I remembered was him saying that. And I just thought, that's a pretty racy thing to say at this age, isn't it? Like, given cancel culture and everything. But anyway, when I woke up, I did the audit. The first thing I did, the hands went, and I just checked I was leaving with what I came in with, And I said,
did you remember when you woke up?
Oh, the first thing I remembered, Mero, and I said it to the nurse, and she went, he does that to everyone. He's a bollocks.
That's a great joke. I love it.
I like that. I do. I like a bit of sense of humor with those kind of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The anaesthetists lads are quite funny, like.
That's because they have you by the balls. Your destiny is in their hands.
Yeah.
I think Ten Hag might be in a spot of trouble this evening, lads.
You see,
even if it's
Dallo and Casemiro at half time. He took off Casemiro and Dallo. That's so there's two more players he's alienated immediately.
He's going to lose the dressing room if he hasn't.
I think that's happened already, Danny. To be honest with you,
he's taken off. If he's humiliating, he's already humiliated Sancho. Now he's doing the same to a senior pro like Casemiro, taking him off for making a mistake, and Dallo for not tracking back.
Well, Casemiro was booked in the first half, so Ten Hag has a habit of if a player has been booked in the first half, they don't come out for the second half.
Yeah.
But I mean, even at that, Casemiro, you kind of need to leave him on. But why do
you think he's in trouble for the League Cup result?
Casemiro's a classic player who knows how to play on one yellow card.
Absolutely.
He's done it his whole career.
Absolutely.
He gets 30 times a season. He knows how to play on a yellow card,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Mero.
I was just saying, Gary, what makes you think he's in trouble with a League Cup result?
I just think like media over the weekend, as we said earlier, they're bitching about everything. And 3-0 at home to like Newcastle didn't have a centre half on the pitch this evening. They had 5 full-backs on.
Yeah.
They're hardly going to sack him, are they?
I don't know, but I just think I'm just looking at the price in here. It's after shifting big time. Like
look, we all know
United had 62% of possession as well. That's unbelievable. To lose 3-0 with 62% of possession.
That's crazy. Look, we all know the problems of Manchester United Football Club go far deeper than just the manager. But unfortunately,
that's where it falls.
That is where it falls. And when the manager is, picking the team and the team isn't performing one thing, like a lot of those players need to be fucked out faster than he does.
He bought a lot of them, Danny. He
did, absolutely, and they weren't. They're not to the caliber that you need if you want to win trophies.
Yeah,
Tyrell Malacia,
Anthony, 18 million for Anthony.
Anthony's brutal,
but he knew that. That was a panic buy. Like Liverpool, beat them 5-0, whatever, and he buys Casemiro and Anthony immediately. Wasn't that what happened?
But they lost to Brighton and Brentford.
Brighton and Brentford, that's what it was. Yeah.
I don't think Ten Hag even wanted Casemiro because they spent the summer chasing De Jong.
Yeah.
And he obviously said to the football department, I need a whole midfielder. They thought, you know what, we'll get Casemiro for 70 million.
I think I sent you a postcard from London last week. Did you get it?
Sorry?
Sent you a postcard from London last week.
Sent me a postcard?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
No, I didn't get it.
Didn't you?
No.
That's unusual now. Very unusual.
Yeah, Royal Mail are usually very reliable.
Yeah, I sent a picture. I sent you a postcard of the Queen.
No, you didn't.
I did. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't get it. Is your postman a Republican? Lovely one it was. R.I.P. Is he?
No, I got posts and all today. I didn't get any postcards.
This is 2 weeks ago I sent it.
No, still haven't got it.
That's unbelievable. Anyway,
I'd say he did get a Paul, but he knows that he has people who listen, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Lads, we're we could sit here and talk all night, but that wouldn't be fair to us. But before we go, I want to just pick your brains a little bit on AI, lads, and how AI is playing a big part in us getting some new Beatles music. What are your thoughts on this now?
Paul, you go first. You're the Beatles fan.
Well, leave it alone. That's my thought. It's like when John Lennon said when people used to cry about, are the Beatles going to get back together? He'd just say, look, if you like the Beatles, go and listen to the albums. Go and listen to the old albums. It's there, I don't think we don't need any new stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't love it, but having said that, I went to see Roy Orbison in concert, a hologram of him on the stage in the Tree Arena. It was fucking brilliant. It was because I thought it would be like when I heard a hologram, I thought it would be like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. That kind of a hologram, kind of greeny, bluey or whatever. It wasn't. It was full color. It was free. He played with it. It was a full orchestra, and then Roy Orbison in the middle, and he looked real. It was unbelievable. So I loved that, but there was a sort of novelty aspect to it. It just kind of like I wouldn't go and see him again unless they put him on a double bill with Buddy Holly or something, like, But I just think it's kind of I just think there's enough great Beatles music there. We don't need anymore. And I would say John Lennon would absolutely hate it. And that's good enough for me.
Right. Gary, what do you think of AI and these kind of influences coming in where, we could end up in a situation where we're all going to 2-pack gigs and new 2-pack music? You
can never be ignorant to technology, especially when it's good technology. Like, I'm trying to think of dead artists that I'd like to go and see.
Yeah.
In the format that Paul just described. And would I go? I probably would. But
Paul,
I don't think
Paul mentioned Pavarotti earlier, and I'd be fascinated to see it. The hologram would probably need an awful lot of electricity to generate it. He was a big man, but equally, I'd be very keen to see that sort of presence translated into a technological form.
That's your prerogative, yeah. Like, when I'm thinking more along the lines of Amy Winehouse or, I don't know. I suppose Elvis. You'd go and see Elvis, wouldn't you? You'd have to go and see Elvis.
Yeah, you'd be all shook up.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But it's mad. Like, we're kind of at the stage now where you're sort of saying, God, I can't wait for Ringo and Paul to die so I can see the Beatles again. Like, is that what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
do we really? I don't. As Gary said about technology and all that stuff, but do we need AI?
I don't think we do. Right? I just don't think we do. There's enough good stuff there generated by humans. Like, what? There's no genius in AI. It's just it's just programming. Like,
remember the article the Irish Times published that was AI?
No.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, this is the controversy, wasn't it? That it went through all the checks, or it didn't go through the checks or something. They published it without it.
I can't realize I'm compromised here. Like, so,
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Wasn't the story was about? See, the whole thing about that, it wasn't even the great thing about that. The funny thing, the thing that got everyone. I don't think it was the AI aspect of it. It was the fact that it was such a ludicrous argument, right? That wearing fake tan was it racist? Or was
cultural appropriation?
You haven't gone through the struggle that that Black people have gone through, so you shouldn't be kind of trying to darken your skin unless you've actually been through it. And actually, it was like a sort of made up argument for a laugh. That's what it's. I remember reading it in the paper, just thinking, here, come on.
But I don't think we need AI.
I think it has benefits, but I'm not sure for like the artistic purposes, like that, using the specific example of us getting a new Beatles song out of it. I'm kind of with you on that, Paul. I'm kind of like,
leave it alone. It
I
won't
don't
be
think
the same.
we need it, Like, I'm not. We've talked before. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but I think I've definitely warmed up to them more in recent years. I watched that Peter Jackson documentary about them making the last album, and it was fascinating. And but yeah, I don't know.
The only thing is, the AI stuff for, say, U2 might be better than their actual original stuff.
I'm shut the fuck up, will you? Jesus Christ.
See, the thing about the Beatles is, right, even if you don't love the Beatles or listen to their music a lot, you have to accept that they changed music like twice. Paul McCartney changed the face of music twice. So it's more for their influence than for. We don't need another Beatles song because the Beatles aren't going to change the world a third time, right? So, about 20 something years ago, they remastered an old Lennon offcut called "Free as a Bird," and it went to #1, right? But
that's right. I remember that.
I remember it on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Beatles song, right? Because it was something they discarded, and that somebody picked up and, like jazzed it up, put instrumentation on it and turned it into a single. And but it wasn't a Beatles song because it was so far after the Beatles. It was like the Beatles influenced music in the early 60s or the mid 60s, and then with Pepper they completely changed it again. So whatever they bring out 30 years later, it's post Beatles. It's not the Beatles, and I kind of think you could get anyone to write a Beatles style song now. You don't need AI. Like, you could probably get like somebody, like some genius like Neil Hannon or something could probably turn out a Beatles song in an hour. But the point is, it was at the time when it was new and when nobody had tried that kind of music before, and for especially McCartney, just to sort of to have the confidence to do that in his 20s and say, right, I'm going to dream this all up over again. Like, it's amazing stuff, but AI will never do that. There's no, you could program a computer to write a song similar to Strawberry Fields Forever, but it's not going to be Strawberry Fields Forever in 1966, 67.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it safe to say then we won't be getting AI in any future Paul Howard projects also?
Oh, listen, I mean, if I could find a program that could write the books better than me and quicker than me, the next book would be written by AI, completely. I'm too much of a control freak, though, that would, that I don't think I could let it happen, but you never know. If I'm busy one year, you might read a Ross book and go, Jesus, the quality of this is better than any book I've read. And you'll know then that a robot did it.
What projects are coming up, Paul, before we say goodbye?
I'm working away on Bad Sisters. We're doing the second series at the moment. That's I'm nearly finished that, actually. They're filming it right now, actually. They've already started. I'm writing one of the later episodes in the series and just really enjoy doing that. I have another Ross book which is due the end of January. So those are the two things I'm working on mostly. I'm hoping something's going to happen with the Ballybrack project next year as well with the TV show. So
a long process, isn't it, Paul?
It's a funny thing. Like most TV is like Bad Sisters has been different because you're dealing with Apple and things just happen a lot quicker. But most TV shows, there's that TV, I haven't seen it yet, but that obituary show on RTE at the moment.
Yeah,
you probably find that was about 10 years in the dreaming and the planning as well. It just takes a lot longer in Ireland. Anytime I see anything on television, on RTE especially, there's always a hat tip involved because you just know how much they've had to go through just to get it made. Never mind to get something made well, just to get it made. So I hope something will happen on that next year. So that's it. That's all I'm working on at the moment.
Is it? Am I jumping the gun by announcing that this is content podcast with yourself and Gary? The
content? Well, we don't want to say it too much at the moment, do we, Gary?
Well, we can look. It's been coming for a while.
Yeah.
We're just dealing with sponsorship and stuff like that. We have all the equipment bought. We're going to be buying a log cabin to record it in.
Lovely.
But look, it's probably be late next year, Paul.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm saying too much out of school, Gary, by saying it's going to be singing, cooking, light housework.
Yeah, but it's a bit of DIY, bit of gym stuff.
Oh yeah, talking about sculpting our bodies and stuff like that.
We'll be offering an online nutrition course as well.
Brilliant. Well, and just because I know from the WhatsApp group recently that Paul has become a dab hand with eggs. Will you have an egg tutorial for us? Because I know there's many ways to crack an egg and indeed cook an egg, and I've just been doing boiled eggs like an amateur, and I think I need to up my game.
Well, we'd ask you just to subscribe and drop a comment in the live chat, and we can look at it.
Consider it done. I'll be there. Yeah.
Anything else to say there, Paul, on eggs?
On eggs? No, I mean, I love an egg. I love two eggs, actually. I usually have two. I kind of think a day without two boiled eggs is a day without happiness. But recently, when I came out of hospital, my mother-in-law bought me a gift of an egg cooker, and Gary was already familiar with the piece of equipment I'm talking about. Fabulous piece, a fabulous thing. See, I went.
Gary wasn't too pushed on it.
No, see, well, I don't know. I know Gary didn't give his counter space, and I think to properly love a kitchen appliance, you have to give it permanent counter space, even if it's on a temporary basis for maybe 3 months. Because sometimes, I remember when we were kids, we had an ice cream maker, and we didn't give it counter space. We just put it in the back of the press, and then eventually, I think we used it twice, and then my dad took the plug off it to put on the Christmas tree, and then we never saw it again, right? But I think I think we were scared that people might think we were getting above ourselves, because we were the first people in Cromlech Fields to make our own ice cream.
Yeah,
never been done before, never been attempted before, And it used to suck all the electricity out of the whole estate. Like every time we turned it on, you had to pack this thing with ice. You put there was a little cylinder in the center with cream and milk and sugar and all the rest. And then you packed the outside with ice, big drum of a thing it was. And then you plugged it in. The lights would dim all over Ashlawn, out Oakton, Cromlech, Ackle Road, Lambay. Lights would just go dim. Just making ice cream. And like I said, we used it twice. The electricity was about 400 quid both times, and we got about a block of ice cream out of it. But I kind of felt I'd love that now. You see, I would love that now, and I would give it counter space. But I've given the egg thing counter space. It might not be permanent, it might not be forever. But while it is, I know I'll use it every day. I went at it first. Gary will probably tell you I went at it like a bull at a gate first.
He didn't read the book.
I didn't read the book. In fact, that's going to be one of the features, I think, of our podcast as well, Gary. Right? Mm-hmm. Using appliances without like throwing away the manual and then trying to use an appliance without actually using the manual. But Gary told me I failed to pierce the egg. You have to pierce the top of the egg, and you have to be very, very. You have to be very accurate with the amount of water you use. If you use even like 2 drops too many, you're going to get a hard egg, and I don't like a hard egg.
But they're it's a well-designed machine. You've got some options there.
Yeah, I mean, well calibrated.
You give a counter space, Gary?
No, we did give a counter space, but like it's like we would use it here every day. We were egg mad here, so you can poach them or you can boil them. I like the perfect egg has to be runny yellow and solid white. Right. Very hard to nail.
And have you tried both the boiled and the poached, Gary? And Paul, same question to you.
I've tried both. Yeah, the poached wouldn't be for me.
Right.
They're a bit diddyish.
Yeah, the poached ones, they don't taste like a poached egg. They're kind of like, those little plastic cups you get. You just crack the egg into it and put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. That's what it comes out. It doesn't taste like a poached egg.
Yeah, kind of jellyish.
Do you say they're a bit diddyish?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah. Sorry, the twins just come in there. They're fucking killing each other.
Oh, everything all right? Do you need to intervene?
No, Gizmo sat on Mimi's side of the setting and she was growling at him. He can't hear a fucking thing.
What?
He can't hear a thing. He doesn't even know she's growling. Fuck off. Jesus Christ.
We'll be living on that for months, Gary.
He will, yeah. Of course he will.
Hey, lads, are we doing a Christmas one? Will you come to Avoca to do the Christmas one?
If you don't fucking cancel.
Only if you make us eggs, Paul.
Oh, listen, I mean, that like I said, it's there. That's why I gave it counter space. It's ease of access. Ease of access is the key to a lot of these kitchen appliances,
And have you nailed the boiled egg yet, Paul?
Yeah. And do you know what, Gary? It was trial and error. It took probably it took 4 attempts. You see, I'm quite good at boiling eggs to the perfect 3 minutes after the water boils. I always take them off, and they're always perfect, But what I love about the egg cooker is you can leave it there in perfect confidence. while the eggs are cooking. You can leave the room. You can go and do your bits, you know.
Yeah.
You can, you know, whatever your bits are. I go out and I do bomb squad duty in the garden, picking up Humphrey's poo and stuff.
Yeah.
Humphrey's dog, by the way. Be weird picking up human poo in the garden. But anyway, so you can sort of do all your little bits and pieces. And then come back in total confidence that your egg will be ready, and they stay hot for ages as well, by the way.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Well, you've given this much more attention than you have the air fryer.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, I think what happened with Paul and the air fryer was, I mean, it was 18 months to get that over the line.
yeah.
And I think what happened in the end was I done a video presentation, sent it to Paul, and Paul showed it to Mary, and then we got sign off from Mary.
Yeah,
It took a long time.
it did. Yeah, it did.
I,
But that got counter space as well, Gary. That got counter space immediately. I mean, what you wouldn't? Why would you put nobody locks baby in the corner, you know?
No. I mean, the Ninja double basket air fryer.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ! I mean, whoever designed it, just give them a can of Coke. Just exceptional.
yeah. I put a chicken. I just put a whole chicken in one of them drawers, Gary, and it was just
fucking unreal. Diddy's down first, and then Turner for the second part.
Yeah.
still cooking a chicken that we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah. Put the breasts down to the bottom for the first go, and then turn halfway through. Do you know? Have I told you about my mashed potato,
No.
lads? So most people will peel their potato, boil them, then mash them. Yeah.
Mm.
Nah, doing it all wrong.
Whoa, there's a different way.
Okay, here we go.
Set your oven to 220. Place your potato in the oven.
Parboiled?
No, place it in the oven in its jacket for half an hour. Pierce it once through the middle and put it back in for another half an hour. Cut it in half and scoop the potato out, salt, pepper, butter. Thank me later.
Gorgeous.
All the flavour stays in the potato. When you boil it, the flavour comes out.
Boiling anything just takes all the flavors in the water that you throw down the sink, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah. So, like, even if you boil chicken, say, for example, chicken fillets to do a quick curry, you know, you might as well be putting chewing gum into the fucking curry.
Yeah.
I'll give that a bash
Or
now.
tripe.
That does sound like it'd be worthy of an attempt now.
Where did you hear that, Gary?
A friend of mine who's a chef.
Oh, very good.
Very good.
And is the air fryer your favourite kitchen appliance?
I only use the oven now if I'm doing a roast dinner.
And is that because of space?
No, it's just because the air fryer produces great product. It's easy to work with, it's easy to clean.
Is there a product that you'd like to invent in the kitchen?
Oh, very good question.
That's a great question, Graham.
That's a great question.
Graham's amazing because he's like his questions don't fall. I'm not saying yours do, Danny, right? But he's still very sharp after an hour and a half, isn't he? Like, I'm knackered.
Oh, listen,
I'm knackered. I could say that now.
He's only waking up now, you see.
Yeah, there's times where you think you have the answers, but it's actually the questions that are being wrong, and that's where Mero corrects the record, you see.
You see, Mero finishes work at 3 o'clock. It's now 11.
Yeah.
So if he hadn't been doing this podcast, he'd run Tinder for 8 hours, setting himself up for the next month. And then he has a fizzy drink and a few M&Ms and watches a bit of telly. So he's only peaking now.
My mum came in with washing as you said that.
Oh, sorry, Jen.
Sorry, Jen, yeah.
Will you answer the question, please?
It's a great question, Graham.
Listen, I think it's unfair to put Gary on the spot like that, but what I would say is we can revisit this in the Christmas special so that he's had a moment to allow his brain to come up with an invention that would be worthy of counter space.
Very fair.
Good. Once Paul doesn't cancel Avoca again for the third year in a row.
I won't cancel it. I was sick last year.
Right.
That's what happened last year. You know,
jeez, the fucking tone of him there.
We've got through 2 hours where we haven't had an incident similar to the setting on WhatsApp. Can we? I think now is a nice time to end it before we fall out momentarily.
See, Paul and Gary usually leave the group, and I win around the WhatsApp group.
Mero, will you just stop antagonising for once in your life? For God's sake.
Sorry,
Gary. Can we have a word with Jen? Is she still there, please?
No, she left the premises. Gary, where do our listeners go to listen to us?
Spotify, about to say iCloud, anywhere you can get a podcast, YouTube,
Anywhere.
Sky Q, Sky Glass,
Yes.
Netflix,
Skyfall.
Skyfall, yeah.
Skyfall.
We'll be on the RTE player in 2024, just FYI people. We're looking forward to that.
Barely legal.
Barely, yeah.
That's it.
Well, I assume we will, Mary. Your talks with Kevin Backhurst have gone well, I assume.
They have. He has asked me what did I sell in Cadbury's.
Brilliant.
It's a great line, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Oh, Gary, I love when you tweet that. I just love it. This is just a reminder.
No, Kelly, if he had had anything about him, he would have just turned around and said, potatoes.
That was the problem. He doesn't have anything about him.
No, but I just thought it showed up the gombean nature of Irish politics. Like,
big time.
Just
Big time, yeah.
Just gobshitery, like, try and get them to take chocolate bars.
Let's get 130 people into the room at a cost to the taxpayer of fucking millions and get absolutely nowhere with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Lads, thank you as always for joining us, especially for this, our 300th anniversary. A pleasure.
Congratulations, lads, as well.
And, well done. It's a huge achievement.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Continued success to the both of you, Gary with your Agony Anticolium, Paul with your many, many projects, and hopefully to be more BAFTAs in your future. And you'll get a moment with Kate Winslett once again. That'd be nice to hear. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening and for getting this far. Do make sure to check out This Is Content when it launches. You'll be able to subscribe on Patreon and OnlyFans, and I'm looking forward to it. But until next week, Mero.
Clear eyes, full hearts.
And ooze.
Good luck.